What's up, my movers and shakers? I'm Dave, this is MS Paints, and this is possibly 50 interesting things in my workshop. So yeah, I have been challenged by Alex at 52 Miniatures, the other guy on YouTube that makes really nice polished hobby content. Despite what people say, we have no rivalry and do not dislike each other. And this is kind of like a challenge to find 50 interesting or unexpected or weird and unusual things around your workspace, and I will pass it forward at the end to a slack handful of creators who I think also have interesting things in their hobby spaces. So let's find some weird stuff. Interesting things number one are these Traveller miniatures sets by Grenadier. Very dusty, unpleasantly dusty. It's not mold, thankfully. Yeah, they're 25mm metal, definitely lead miniatures by Grenadier. Found in a junk shop in Japan for about £12 a box. At £12 a box, you can't really say no to proper 80s Grenadier stuff. Slightly concerningly is, I think, even though they're unused, they've still got all the original documentation, the alien animals and the alien mercenaries. I do think I need to do something to get rid of those early signs of lead rot, or at least fight against full lead rot. Yes. Another cute little thing I found on my shelf, collector's series Mithril miniatures, Middle-earth, Stormcrow, Theoden, Wormtongue, and Gandalf, which is obviously the famous little sequence where Gandalf tips up and he's like, what's going on here? What's going on in Rohan? What are we doing? Why is job fucked? And I picked this up from Cromford Collector's Corner, which I think is now just Collector's Corner because it moved out of Cromford. So that's obviously when you move to the next tiny village 200 meters away, you got to change the name. Yeah, back from when Mithril Miniatures held the license. I don't think it's that 1993. Okay, yeah, that's getting on, isn't it? Yeah, a factory sealed Mordheim, which was owned by Colin Dixon, who I think sculpted some of the Skaven in the box or some of the Skaven in the expansion. But I bought this at auction after Colin unfortunately passed away, and there was a lot of stuff. Me and Jordan Sorcery were basically texting back and forth during the proceeds, and when that went, he basically said, what fucking gumbo, fucking gonk, went ahead and bought that. So yeah, that is probably something I'm not actually ever going to open. I don't think I have the capacity to open that. But yes, actually, all things considered, it did, even with auction fees, cost less than what you would pay on eBay for a regular sealed copy, and this just happens to be like one of the first 10 off the assembly line. Yeah. These Inquisitor models at the back there, I bought those off a guy who I used to deal like Pokemon cards and video games with, and he came in one day and said, yeah, I've got a load of shit Warhammer just in my house that I want rid of that I bought ages ago. Can you come around and get it and give me a price? So there was just like maybe 2/3 set of sealed Inquisitor, a load of paints and some old metal sealed Tyranids literally wedged behind his toilet. And I'm not going to say how much I bought them for, but it was a tippy top price, mate. This Dystopian Wars Statue of Liberty model. Yeah, before Dystopian Wars was owned by Warcradle, it was owned by Spartan Studios, I think, and they had so much just wacky bollocks going on. And the Statue of Liberty with, I think it's glued in place, but the arm would have come down and fired a laser, not a real laser on the model, obviously, fired a laser out of its torch. And when I went to Warcradle, they couldn't quite fathom why I thought this was fucking awesome. So I think out of pity, and they thought there was something wrong with me, they gave me this, which I believe is a Submaster. I could be wrong, but I don't think they have any plans to reintroduce this stuff. Yeah, which is a shame, because this is bonkers. Yes, Statue of Liberty from Dystopian Wars. This 1/8 scale resin Sephiroth miniature, ligature, by Kotobukaya, who I didn't know actually did resin stuff. That is something I need to pick up in a minute. It comes with all the original documentations. Looks like a really nice cast, as you'd expect. Yeah, saw it on a shelf in a Mandarake in Nagoya, and because it's Nagoya, everything was affordable. Yeah, I think it was about 50 quid, and I generally don't spend that much on a single item out there unless I think if my boiler breaks, I can sell it and fix the boiler, or if I die, my wife's not going to hate me for having to sell this on eBay. So yeah, 1/8 Kotobukaya Sephiroth. These Studio Ghibli or Ghibli, however you pronounce it, model kits, I think £6 each. There's more in the other room, I just couldn't find them. I think there was like 8 in total. Saw them on a shelf in a dedicated licensed movie model kit shop, which is very specific, but that is a thing. Guy said, got him to open the cabinet, pointing them out. Dore, which one? Said all of them. I'll take all of them, please. Yeah, £5 to £8 each, maybe all of them. It felt right. Some of them are modern Bandai, some of them are fine molds, some of them are, what does that say? This old War Machine Death Jack. I had the pleasure of filming the promo videos for the new Jacks, including the Death Jack, or Character Hell Jack, whatever it is. And I have this original that I did find in a warehouse, and the warehouse was quite happy to see the entire floor of War Machine disappear. So as a trade for some labor, I filled the car with War Machine. So I do have a lot of War Machine. I regret that I have a lot of War Machine. Do you remember when Argos tried to take on Games Workshop in like 96, 97, 98, around that time? The skirmish battle set remembers. Pre-painted miniatures, sold as a starter set and as blind bags, exclusive to Argos, manufactured by Bluebird. It's probably a core memory unlocked for someone there, and I imagine quite a few people have either ejaculated, shat themselves, or started crying, or all three if you're very lucky. That's definitely a video in the pipeline when Argos tried to take on Games Workshop. This is probably one of the rarest things I have, just by virtue of there not being that many. So I'm an avid collector of the original Prodos AVP, Prodos, who are now Archon Studio, who make like everything. But this is handmade, handcast by just an avid collector like myself. I have the AVP dropship, which you may have seen in a video a few years ago. This was made basically in his living room. I don't want to say it's rough as fuck, because he's just made it in his living room, man. And his stipulation was, I will manufacture these and make these and distribute these to people in collectors groups for as long as the mold survives. And I don't know the exact number. It could be 15, it could be 35, but they shipped worldwide, so they went far and wide. But I was lucky to have someone in York message me and say, do you want to meet up outside Greg's? It's 50 quid, it's yours. So here it is. I will do something with it one day. I just don't know what.
Welcome, adventurer. Yeah, finally, our MS Paints Hector Health and Safety Frog Miniatures line is available online for the first time. We've partnered up with our actual super best friends at Rogue's Den Hobbies to unleash the green tide upon the world. Featuring King Hector the Maris Piper, Dark Magician, the Riddle of Steel, Noble Knight, Big Babs, Yojimbo, Black Mage, Fats, and the Bold Ranger. And as a special promotion, we are offering all 9 models for the price of 8. But also sold separately if you don't want them taking over your house. Rogue's Den Hobbies offers free shipping on orders over £50 in the UK, and they also do ship internationally. So take home your lovingly handcrafted Hector action miniature today at www.roguesdenhobbies.com. Sound, back to the video.
These original Hero Quest expansions, which I picked up at a tabletop sale at EH Gaming a couple of years ago, for like 15 quid each. I did say to the guy, Peter, I believe his name was, you surely know that these are worth more than that. I'm going to do a little circuit and I'm going to come back, and if you still want to get rid of them for 15, you can get rid of them for 15. He said, yeah, no problem. In my little circuit, I did also pick up a complete set of the Resident Evil deck building card game for 40 quid. So it was a good little circuit. It was a good gamble. There will be more from Peter's stash in this video. I've just pulled this out of my to eBay pile, which is, I think there's 4 Voodoo cards in here, 3D graphics accelerator cards, Voodoo 2s, 2 8-megabyte ones and 2 16-megabyte ones, I think. Couldn't figure out the exact make and manufacture of each one, but yeah. I said to the guy who was trying to sell these to me, either you can go on eBay and get a few hundred, or I can give you 65 cash now. He said, why 65? I said, 65 is what I have in my pocket. I did have aspirations of building a Voodoo 2 gaming rig, but despite these being worth a lot of money, I would have to sell them to get the money to build the rest of the rig. So yeah, Voodoo's going on eBay soon, I think. Some random PS1 games I just found. I don't know how to pronounce that. Aconcagua, which is like a plane crash survival game in the mountains on PS1. God knows how that works on the PS1. Police Noughts on PS1, which is one of the early Hideo Kojima games where pretty much everything, including the toilet roll and the air fresheners, have lore dump and documents. Biohazard 3, Resident Evil Nemesis. This is one of the few games that will not play on a chipped PS1 because it relies on one of the like BIOS fonts from the Japanese BIOS, so it doesn't actually work. Shame. Summer Holiday 20th Century, pretty much you're just a kid just wandering around in summertime off school, catching bugs. It's supposed to be one of the most heartwarming yet gut-wrenching games ever created. And Einhander, which is a like side-scrolling shoot-'em-up spaceship thing by Squaresoft. It's supposed to have a very good soundtrack. I have no idea. I'm going to play this at some point, I'm sure. This Dreamforge Games Leviathan Crusader, which is basically a Warhammer Knight. We'll say it's a knockoff Warhammer Knight. My mate Brillo gave me this like fucking donkeys ago. Movable parts, has a lot of movable parts. And it's kind of interesting to see that this thing is probably going to be somewhere between a Warhammer Knight and a Gundam. In fact, I might do this soon. This is quite cool. Spike and Iggy action figures from the Super Mario Brothers movie from, I think, 1993. I have a real soft spot for this movie because it's beyond stupid, but also in 1993, what were they supposed to do with the Mario franchise with the movie? I don't know. These were a gift from Scottish Thomas, I believe. Thank you, Scottish Thomas. I am slightly partial, but not lethally partial, to Gundam RX-78-2s in different colours. And when I saw the PR ambassador of the Japan Pavilion Expo 2020 Dubai edition, I just couldn't help myself, and that was £10. Yeah, man, I'm sure that's one of the rarest things I own. I don't think it's very expensive, but it's still beyond niche, isn't it? That's definitely up there. A how to paint Citadel miniatures guide, which does include a DVD though, guys. So yeah, I think this was in the job lot of the Inquisitor and the Sealed Tyranid stuff I got for pennies from behind a man's toilet. I think we're probably looking mid 2000s at this point, maybe. But it is on it. Lovely toilet brush. And the absolute king of hobby knives. I will be talking about this knife in a little bit. But yeah, it is one of those old paint guides that insists that you paint something black to prime it. You paint it like 4 times with black paint, and that primes it. And then you can paint your white over the top for your Middle-earth miniatures. It's actually quite painful to read this kind of stuff now. Yes, but there are some nifty things in here. I should probably look at this one day and maybe fucking learn something. I think this is made out of like tin or pewter or just something very clanky. This is Castell Miniatures Nazgul. Nazgul Condrago. Nazgul with dragon, yes. Oh boy, I don't know what scale it is. I managed to track down on eBay this company's, one of their catalogs from the year after this, and it seems like they do a lot of, I don't want to say tat, but it is kind of tat. Fantasy tie-ins. It is hideous. It is completely hideous. It was sold to me on the principle, Dave, you won't believe this hideous thing that I've just found inside this wargame show, and immediately went and bought it because it is just so hideous. Curse of the Mummy's Tomb, by Stephen Hand. Basically, it came out just before or after Curse of Dracula by Games Workshop. This has a lot of lovely Indiana Jones style miniatures inside. Maybe might do this one for Halloween, maybe not. We'll see, guys. So speaking of that knife, I did score one on eBay, and I got this within a few weeks of getting into the hobby. I had undiagnosed MS at the time, and I was still really into my powerlifting. So the standard workshop Citadel knife that they sold like 8 years ago, I just couldn't grip it, just couldn't hold it. So wanted something with a nice big caboosey booty on the back, that I could get my hands around. And it's definitely seen better days, but certainly refuses to die. Yes, by far my favorite, I think, thing in my hobby case. A couple of soundtracks that have been on hot rotation recently. Khan Super Session, the Soul Edge soundtrack, which over here we knew it as Soul Blade on the PS1, but it's the Soul Edge arcade game that went on to become Soul Calibur. And this is a baffling little thing. It's kind of some selects of the soundtrack from the game performed by whoever the fuck these people are. Khan Super Session, I assume. But they've taken all of the game's tracks and just kind of elevated them to madness. The Stray Dog? Yeah, Stray Dog, which is part of the Red Spectacles and Jinro the Wolf Brigade franchise. I think this is the early 90s live action film. I think it's early 90s. Yes. And it feels like they had a Spanish guitarist session player come in and were like, actually, let's make him play all day. He can fill his day rate and we'll do the entire soundtrack with just chilled Spanish guitar tracks. Quite confusing. The Monster Hunter 2 Illustrations collection, which I picked up from the shop I used to work at. I keep concept art books like this just on hand in the workshop because I mean, despite what I think about the Monster Hunter franchise, and I do think it's basically an MMO with actual stuff to do, art books like this are generally done by probably some of the best artists in their field, and it's instantly grabbable, instantly recognizable color schemes that you can pull from. You can just look at them and think, yep, those colors have been just picked by someone who has done this their entire life and instinctually know what's best. So I am going to borrow that color scheme. Yeah, handy to have. This random ass poster that a few people have noticed in the background, which is like a giveaway promo, I think, or came with some kind of purchase from Dark Arena in Grimsby when I was a kid. It's for the Star Wars Decipher card game, the Cloud City expansion. Yeah. Nice little piece, that. I mean, it's one thing to have a Star Wars poster up, it's a different thing to have one very specific thing up for an expansion to a card game that is long dead. Deadly Premonition poster. If you know Deadly Premonition, I probably don't need to explain why I have a Deadly Premonition poster up. I think that was from my friend Fag when he passed away. Fag was his real name, before you say anything. Double G. And that was part of his collection of stuff that his family moved on to his friends after he passed away. And yeah, Deadly Premonition and by proxy Silent Hill and Twin Peaks, I kind of picked up my interest in those from him after he passed away, and that's kind of been a lovely little lasting gift, has the things that I've got into thanks to him. This absurd collection of EcoPla, which is recycled plastic, collection of black Gundams. Exclusive to, it's the only bit of colour on the box. Where's the logo? It was exclusive to a specific hobby shop in Tokyo that doesn't exist anymore, and I got these for, did I leave the price on? £7 each. They are from my eBay pile to eBay.
Before we move on, I just wanted to give a shout out to my mate, War Daddy Miniatures. Nice lad. He's got a cute cat. Terrible tasting beer, but he is nice. War Daddy Miniatures specializes in a curated eBay store that specifically stocks either ready painted or restored and ready to play Warhammer and bolt action. I've done a couple of projects with Jack in the past, and it's always been fun to dig into his warehouse and find all the weird stuff he's just got knocking around in there. And I believe there's plenty of weird stuff on his eBay as well. He is currently running a 20% off promotion across his whole eBay store with the code WARDADDY20, yeah, which is pretty dangerous for me since I picked up the bolt action baton and joined the race recently, so that eBay page is pretty dangerous for me right now. Head to the War Daddy Miniatures store in the link down below, and don't forget to use WARDADDY20 code at checkout for a 20% off. Alright, bye now.
This weird thing that I made for bill making stuff's a Big Bot Bash thing a couple of years ago. It's got a Jetsons toy car. It's got some bobbins and cottons bits with some craft chain, a kit bashed gun from 40k stuff, and some spindly spider legs, and loads of just stuff from the sewing department in boys. The decoration down the side. Yeah, that's my entry into the Big Bot Bash. He's just a whole walking tetanus fucking nightmare. Lovely stuff. Yes. Tank Girl the movie comic book. The comic book of the Tank Girl movie. Absolutely terrible movie. But forever shaped my taste in women, I think. We have Space Marines at home. Yeah, I think these are possibly Grenadier? Hobby Games Limited. I thought these were Grenadier. Yes, the infamous 90s Space Rangers that aren't Space Marines, and definitely mixed feelings when I opened this on Christmas morning. For some reason I thought that was Grenadier. My first ever diorama / scenic board that I did a year and a half into the hobby. I did this for local armies on parade, didn't win anything. Don't know why. Currently it's just kind of covered in bits, and it's just hanging there. But I kind of wanted to do this playful little take on the Apocalypto movie thing. No, maybe it was, I can't remember. But a couple of Empire characters there, just kind of pointing out to the horizon on this lovely little coastline, which is slightly yellowed, so not UV safe, that stuff I used. And in the background there's a big old dinosaur, Seraphon dinosaur, coming out of a Stargate with terrified fleeing peasants. Yeah, that was a nice little achievement to get that done. I think I did that in a couple of weeks or something. Yeah, lovely stuff. Should probably not let that sit there and rust until the end of time, but there you go. The Luke Skywalker from Star Wars Legion that I think came out during COVID. It was supposed to be a tournament prize or something like that, or limited to an expo or something that didn't happen. It's a variant in a specific outfit. I think it's worth quite a bit, but it was a birthday present from Ross at EH Gaming, so I'm not allowed to sell it. Genuinely can't remember who makes these terrain pieces, like vacuum form terrain. They've been going for absolutely donkey's years, but I have quite a bit of it, and I think the idea that I'll do something for Trench Crusade with it, even though Trench Crusade isn't an especially trenchy game, which is an interesting character flaw, I think, with Trench Crusade. But yes, I'll be turning those into something Trench Crusade-y soon, and probably something more Conflict 47-y, but it'll work for both. My Frank Black doll, because what does every little boy or girl want for Christmas? A Frank Black doll. Yep, found from a licensed movie toy and model kit shop, as a lot of these things are. Like 12 quid or something. Specifically, the Frank Black from that one episode of The X-Files that wrapped up the Millennium storyline. Some would say, I would say, terribly. But yeah, that is a hideous doll. But Still, it's probably one of the only pieces of Millennium merchandise that you can actually get. So yeah, Frank Blanc Millennium doll. Stephen King's The Stand on Laserdisc, the box set. Probably cost me fuck all. 14,420, 14,000 yen, like 70 quid adjusted for inflation, probably about 150 pounds. I guess 150 pounds for this box set, as it would, that was its RRP when it came out. Yeah, it's Stephen King's The Stand, the limited miniseries, which is kind of like the semi-blueprint for a lot of, I guess, modern TV, Apple TV. Yeah, it's The Stand on Laserdisc. It's almost useless. Mr. Vampire on Laserdisc, which I think is maybe late 70s, no, it's probably early 80s, directed by Ricky Lau, and it's basically a Hong Kong, probably dual language with subtitles, if I'm lucky, action comedy where there's an army of hopping vampires with paper on their faces, and the town has to come together, probably with some plucky rogues and some pretty ladies with fans that have to beat the vampires. Good shit, man. Something a little bit different. It's Gundam, but it's not Gundam. It's a Bandai kit, but it's like a 1/35th diorama set, I guess, is what we would say that is. Come on, Sony. This is your job. Yeah, man, got it because it's cheap, like all of these things. But also it's just something from I can't remember what it's called. Is it 108? It's the Zeranis will correct me. It's the Vietnam one, the Gundam Vietnam show, with some really iffy stuff in the first 2 episodes, and then it becomes okay. But yeah, fancied having a crack at that because it's Gundam, but it's more traditional. I guess traditional. Gundam's older than me. Traditional model kit stuff, military style. Yeah. A box of crushed and broken and smashed plaster, which is just kind of invaluable for whenever you're doing like ruined bases or decorative dioramas. It just looks like broken concrete with some corkboard there for tarmac roads and stuff like that. I made this in bulk like 3 years ago for a Gundam project, and I'm still chewing through this. Just found a bag of fur coats, which I'm not gonna show off here because they smell a bit funky, and it's fur coats. I think I was holding on to them for my ex, and then when she binned me on Christmas Day like 10 years ago, I was like, you ain't fucking getting those back, because I can probably put them somewhere. Vinted will do it, Etsy will do it. I can do a pop-up Etsy shop to get rid of some fur coats. I know you can't sell them on eBay. I know it's not ethical to sell fur coats anymore, but they already exist. And they look quite bougie. I think they're from the 60s. So I'm not going to show them, but we're going to count that as an interesting thing. Fur coats left by my ex. And speaking of women I want absolutely nothing to do with, I found these sealed Dark Eldar witches, which came in that Inquisitor lot, which I've referenced quite a few times at this point. Or are they dudes? No, they ain't dudes. Walking Dead, All Out War. Found it on the floor at EH Gaming, said, how much is this? And he looked at me like he'd forgotten it existed, which is what happens every time I go to EH Gaming in York. Yeah, that's just before they did the big reboot, Mantic, and I wanna give that a go at some point. Found my old audio library backup CDs in this ancient thing, which has survived multiple house moves, studio rebuilds, and a flood in this basement 10 years ago. But this is how I did my work at the time. Was I would buy backup CDs from a backup company, even though I didn't buy the originals. So East West Choirs, East West Quantum Leap, RA, which is their, or RA, which is their ethnic package, Dark City Cinematic Ambiences. Symphonic Maneuvers 1 and 2. Symphonic Maneuvers I still use and own legally now. East West Quantum Leap Colossus, disc 5 of 8. So one library had 8 discs, and that was just for percussion. But I have just a RAID drive at home with terabytes and terabytes of music sample stuff, which I don't actually use that much anymore since the work dried up a few years ago. But Yeah, did not know I still had that. If I had an old Windows machine, I would fire those up in a second, but I doubt they're Apple Silicon compliant these days. The thing left to me by my dearly departed friend Fag is his brass eye nonsense cap. I'm not talking sense, I'm talking nonsense. Yeah, that needs cleaning up, taking home, and hanging up in my new edit room at home, I think. Yes, lovely little bit of memorabilia for the Fag, that is. This stuff, which Luke at Geek Gaming introduced the world to a few years ago on YouTube, which is basically like wallpaper, but it's textured in such a way that you can lay it out and it looks like cobbled streets in a city. So you can pretty much decorate a wargaming table or a board with this stuff and just repaint it. Yeah. My mate Simon gave me this. I don't think you can actually buy it brand new anymore. So this is stuff that's reserved for a special project one day that I will never do. Skip foam. You can't go wrong with skip foam. If I see a skip with insulation foam in on the way to and from work, I will usually do the walk of wargamer shame and take it to the workshop. Just empty skips. I think there was a skip like just outside the centre of town on my walk home one day, and every day for a week I just emptied that thing of insulation foam because it's so useful for board construction and normally quite expensive. A set of the Star Trek card game Mirror Mirror expansion by Decipher, which I collected obsessively as a kid, and I found a friend in the States that was picking these boxes up for £5 each, and he would basically sell them, sorry, $5 each, sell them to me for $10 each if I covered the shipping. So I do up quite a bit of these. Let's open a pack. And basically it's all the Star Trek characters and ships and events and stuff from the various mirror universes. So I don't think I've got myself a Captain Spock yet, but a Mirror Ferengi shuttle, Klingon Empire outpost. Oh, I got an Ezri Dax. I got evil Ezri Dax, and you can tell she's evil because she's bisexual now, as is the rules of Star Trek. Another Klingon outpost, Telok, and a Klingon, I think, Cardassian. Yep, I think Ezri Dax is my winner. Integrity 4, Cunning 7, Strength 6. Transporter skills, Science, Geology, Stellar Cartography, and Leadership. Quite useful. Quite a good card. The original 13 Ghosts on VHS. This is part of a VHS collection that was left by a spooky wizard that used to inhabit this basement, and he didn't want to take it with him. Original 13 Ghosts by William Castle, which I think he's 50s, maybe early 60s, and William Castle was kind of famous for just incorporating really carny gimmicks into his theatres, complete with skeletons on coat hangers flying around from the ceilings. But 13 Ghosts was the one when the characters put the glasses on in the film, you put on your 3D glasses in the cinema, and the film becomes 3D, and the ghost effects are in 3D, and everything else is supposed to be 2D. It's quite a nice little gimmick. If you want to know more about William Castle, look up The Tingler, where he had a load of theatre seats like transformed into basically what would now be cheap massage chairs to jab people in the back when The Tingler appeared. Yeah, William Castle, very interesting guy. A Babylon 5 model kit, obviously. That's what we found at the bottom of a shelf there. Another one from the eBay pile. Terminator Genesis, Rise of the Resistance by River Horse. After the Terminator Genesis miniatures game didn't do very well, they consolidated, I think, what they had in terms of work in progress stuff and condensed it into a self-contained board game. I wouldn't say accessibility was the thing that was fighting against this game. I would say it was Terminator Genesis itself. But yes, back to the eBay pile that goes. The electronic component grabber thing, is that in focus? That's something. Yeah, basically, it's like a little pen thing, and the grabber comes out the end, and you can hold a sponge in the end, and then you can sponge on weathering onto miniatures with it attached to a thing. Ludicrously useful. Oh, a picture that Health and Safety Frog made of, a picture of Special Agent Dale Cooper that Health and Safety Frog did, but he's also a bit confused because we were playing Alan Wake 2 and he's got the Oh Dear Diner on there. But Hector's quite the budding artist these days. Old lenses. I do have quite a collection of old lenses. 12 quid this was, but they've got a lot of character, and they sometimes are better than they ever have any right to be, especially the 70s Japanese, 60s Russian. And one or two of these I've got have yellow tinted glass because they're thoriated glass as like an anti-glare thing, which does mean they will tick a Geiger counter if you wave a Geiger counter around in this room. Do not store those lenses in your crotch pouch. But yeah, vintage lenses, very, very good way when you're first starting out with cameras of just understanding lens character, different focal lengths, just different characteristics for very cheap. Yes, I don't know where my radioactive one is. Probably should find that. As I've alluded to, I have a background in soundtracks and music because that was just a huge part of my growing up. So there is a shed load of physical media soundtracks in here. Parasite Eve remixes, nothing to do with those Strange Gentlemen and Bring Me the Horizon, the actual Parasite Eve, which I have also read the book of and seen the movie of, and I would say the game and the music is the best thing that came out of that franchise. Standalone Complex Season 1 soundtrack. Anything Yoko Kanno, 5 quid that. Anything Yoko Kanno, just hook it directly into my veins. And if anyone knows whether she's single, let me know. Dino Crisis 2 soundtrack. There is the first soundtrack somewhere up there. Mortis. Kaiser Even Dimension. Ukient. I love Dungeon Synth. I like writing Dungeon Synth. Dungeon Synth is the greatest form of music ever made. Ghost in the Shell, Yoko Kanno Be Human. I don't actually know what this is. No, maybe I'll listen to that after this. Oh, it comes with a DVD and video disc. Wow. The Medium soundtrack, fairly bang average game, but great atmosphere with music. Some music by Akira Yamaoka on there as well. We've got there the Black Mages 2, which is Uematsu's, the guy who did all of the best Final Fantasy music, which was all thinly veiled, just disguised prog rock music anyway. He basically took it all with his prog rock band and did prog rock versions of everything, which is great. Rhapsody, Power of Dragon Flame, which I've listened to many times. Again, these are like a quid in Japanese junk shops because they love their metal out there, and you often get regional exclusive tracks that you don't elsewhere. But yeah, that's actually a really, really good power metal album. I'm not really into power metal anymore. Any metal with an irritating gimmick, I can kind of take or leave. But that is Molten Lead. That is great, that one. Tribe After Tribe Power, which is their first album. If you don't know who Tribe After Tribe are, they performed the In Time track on the Bill and Ted soundtrack, and it was just the guy from Tribe After Tribe, but they are a fully formed band, and went through many iterations. They're kind of, this is kind of folky pop stuff, and then went tribal rock and grungy, all with like this nice tribally South African sort of almost Trustafarian vibe to it, but it's really good music. Black Lagoon original soundtrack. I like Black Lagoon. I couldn't bring myself to watch the very last episode because the run up to it was just brutal and barbaric. But yeah, again, such a good soundtrack. Lost Odyssey soundtrack. I think I had like 8 16-year-old staff members trying to find this CD for me because it was a $5, and Lost Odyssey is the real Final Fantasy 12 or the real Final Fantasy 13. Yeah, if people would stop crying in the game, I might be able to finish it. But it, again, sensational soundtrack. And Noir, which I've never seen. I assume it's an anime. But yeah, it's just really, really nice sort of early 2000s soundtrack jazz stuff with a bit of techno in there. 2001. Who is it by? Akino Arai, who I've not heard of before. But yeah, Noir soundtrack, very good. Also, while we're on the old physical media shelf there, I'm not the biggest Ghost in the Shell Innocence fan, but I understand why it exists and why it did what it did. But this thing for a $5 in a hard-off is for a special edition DVD. Like, sweet Jesus, man, that is so cool. And It is just a DVD in there, in this massive box. Yeah, man. Just Bato and his Basset Hound adventures. Great. And there's a book that I didn't even know was in here. There's 3 books. There's 3 books. We'll say that's a script. 3D printed Thunderhawk here, a Space Marine Thunderhawk, which my mate Scottish Thomas did for me. I'm not going to tell you why I called him Scottish Thomas. Yeah, he gave me that for my birthday a few years ago, so I need to gather up all the parts for that, give it a clean up, and do something nice with it, I think. I think that would be nice. Because it's a hefty boy, and that needs something doing with it. A Sony FS5 camera. Very old now. I think my company bought these like 10, maybe 8 years ago when a kit house rental kit house that we used to rent from was closing down, and we got this and the FS7 to pair it with. Hopelessly outgunned and outclassed by pretty much everything else that I use on the day-to-day now. But it's just nice to have it because no one will buy it, so I might as well just have it on a shelf. My motion control rig that I do all of my nice sweepy movie camera shots with on models because I didn't want to do it handheld, and because when you shoot small things handheld close up and then try and move the camera around them, you get warp stabilizing problems and it looks absolutely insane to me. But if I didn't have this, I would go home earlier every day, but my shots wouldn't look as nice in the NB roll. So yes, motion control rig, very nice. The iconic John Blanche Sisters of Battle artwork that was on the first codex they had and on the cover of that White Dwarf with the free miniature in like 96, 97, whatever. Yeah, just an important piece of artwork in my life. Yeah, an actual official print that I paid probably way too much for. But yeah, lovely bit there. Some bits and bobs around my hobby desk. It is a shit tip because I've just finished a project. Pretty much what I shoot all my desk stuff with, mounted from this position, is the Sigma Art 24-70 2.8 because it just kind of has a focal length that does everything. The autofocus just does exactly what I need it to do without me looking at the screen. And I've added a little rubber wheel on there so the motion control rig can do manual focus. Yeah, lovely bit of glass. Not cheap, but saves me hours. Macro adapters, very useful. If you're wanting to take macro pictures of your models and don't want to spend money on a dedicated fixed focal length macro lens, then like 30 quid on a set of these. They're not perfect, they do have their issues, but for any paying clients I've had where I've had to shoot miniatures or film miniatures, they've never really noticed the imperfections that come with these, so lovely stuff. My physical media player of choice, the Sony Walkman ESP Max, the DE340. Lovely bit of gear. Is that spinning in there? No. Yeah, lovely bit of gear. Has a really irritating / charming beep whenever you press pause and go on it. And it is going. It must have batteries in it. And last little one I want to look at. I don't know if I made it to 50 or not. Last little one I want to bring out, exhumed from his tomb, is, oh god, probably one of my top 5 rare things. He did not survive shipping especially well. He's fine. Your other arm is in there, isn't it? Hello? His arm's there. Yeah, I have this Judge Dredd ABC Warrior. That's obviously the Judge Dredd 1995 movie starring Sylvester Stallone. This is a PVC, not PVC, it's a vinyl model kit. Yep, definitely vinyl. A vinyl model kit by Halcyon Miniatures. Halcyon Miniatures? By Halcyon. I think it's just Halcyon. A UK company that pretty much sold their stuff everywhere but in the UK, which is why this stuff is very hard to find over here. And this ABC War Robot was being used as a doorstop in a shop in Osaka on the main like nerdy strip or whatever it is. Being used as a doorstop in like a movie memorabilia shop, and he had a lot of like screen-worn Mad Max props and shit like that. This guy was pretty hardcore, and I saw it and thought, that feels important to me, but I'll forget that. We'll move on. It's going to be expensive, even though it's being used as a fucking doorstop. And then no, and we got halfway down the street and I went back and wife was like, yeah, if you want your shitty Judge Dredd toy, you go and get your shitty Judge Dredd toy. Spoke to the owner, said, how much for your doorstop could I say? And with Google Translate, he says, yeah, 70 quid. Google Translate, that doesn't work for me, brother. How about 30? You know, just really going low. And he did say yes. He did say yes. But it's one of those model kits, like a lot of the Halcyon stuff. I know the cases with their Stargate stuff as well. It costs like 70 to 80 pounds to go on eBay and import reproductions and copies from Hong Kong, or 3D scans of them. So to find an original Halcyon ABC Warrior is pretty crazy, and to find it with that little bit of story where it's being used as a doorstop. And then I shipped it back here, and now I am actually going to do something with it. I'm going to clean it up. I'm going to find out whether they put texture paint on there, whether that's what it's meant to look like, strip it down and see what we can get out of him. And probably take out all the electronics because they look quite dangerous. Yes. So as is tradition with these chain letter things, I was nominated by Alex at 52 Miniatures. I am going to nominate more than one person in case that one person watches this and thinks, oh fuck, have I got to do that? So I'm going to nominate 4 people, and they don't have to do it if they don't want to. So firstly, I'm going to nominate Jordan Sorcery because that man is sitting on a gold mine of good business. Next, I'm going to nominate Theo at Slimehouse, or as Health and Safety Frog calls him, Mr. Slime Time. I'm going to nominate Slimehouse because he's just done a video in Jonathan Ross's toy collection, and I would just like to see Theo vibe like I've done and just pop up a camera and say, this is a thing, this is cool, I like this, here's a little story behind it. Dan does as well. I'd like to see more of what's going on in there. Yeah, lots of stuff in the background, want to see more of that. And the Craftsman, because I mean, in every video, he will just stop and talk about a fun street sign that he's got from like the 50s. And I imagine if you say, all right, tell me about 50 things in here, he will tell me all kinds of weird and wonderful things. So yeah, Jordan Sorcery, Slimehouse, Dan Does, and the Craftsman, please. Thank you to my wonderful patrons for supporting this channel and making videos like this possible. If you'd like to be part of the Ewok Village, do check out the links at the end of the video or down below. And until then, cheers. I'm going to put all this stuff back now.